You're listening to Enzy Unlimited, where we discuss all things performance. Each week, we'll bring you sharp and engaging episodes covering all things sports science and sports nutrition. This will help you fuel up and train smarter. Tune in for actionable insights that will keep you at the top of your game.
Enzy Unlimited is proud to be powered by TeamBuildr.
TeamBuildr is the software for performance coaches around the world. Their powerhouse software increases efficiency, saves paper, and can handle any type of programming. It is the perfect fit for performance facilities and remote performance coaching. TeamBuildr is full of tools that performance coaches need, allowing them to create and sell programs online, provide nutrition information through PDF documents, and gather wellness questionnaire data to stay on top of how their athletes are feeling. It contains multiple tracking methods, 16 plus reports, evaluation testing, and goal setting, just to name a few. Head to teambuildr.com and sign up with your code Enzy to start your 14-day free trial. Welcome back to another episode of Enzy Unlimited. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be speaking about fueling for double training days. So, over to our resident expert sports nutritionist, Emma. Can you please give us a rundown of why is it important to fuel for double training days and how we can do that?
Amazing. Thanks, Nick, and welcome back, guys. So the importance of fueling for double training days. As athletes, there are probably going to be multiple times in your career where you are training multiple times a day. Actually, before I get into that, Nick, did you have times when you were playing that you had to train multiple times a day, and how did you fuel for those sessions?
Yeah, I did, and I still do now. I'm a big fan of a double training day.
Yeah.
Training's the thing that I love to do. It's not the same for all athletes, but yeah, during my career and more so even now as well, there is times when I'll utilize double training days. There's only 7 days in a week. And 7 training sessions is a lot of the time just not enough. So, you know, from an S&C perspective, and a performance coaching perspective as well, is I like to utilize the high days high, low days low method. That I've spoken on previous podcasts with the GOAT of women's basketball coaching and S&C, Zach Zillner, who along with Corey kind of came up with this model of keeping your high days high and your low days low. So, some days we might do double sessions so that other days we can do no sessions. Whereas if we're just doing one session every day becomes a moderate day and there's not a whole lot of time to recover.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really important to be able to fuel for these sessions. So obviously taking recovery into consideration is so important. But when it comes to nutrition and fuel, on previous episodes here, I've spoken about the risks of LEA and REDS, or relative energy deficiency in sport. So some new research has actually come out since that podcast and made some really valid points about the research and how potentially as practitioners we need to take a more holistic approach to REDS and what may be causing it. So coming down to stress, training, load, recovery, management, and of course nutrition, energy intake, and so forth. So these are all really important things to take into consideration when it comes to fueling for double training days, because we want to make sure that we have enough energy coming in to avoid underfueling and LEA, as it still can be a contributing factor for REDS. But when you have such high energy intake, underfueling can still be so problematic in terms of your performance. So we don't ever want to see any negative declines in your performance, because if you don't have enough fuel coming in, there is a very good chance that you're not going to perform at your peak. You're not replenish your glycogen between your sessions. You're not fueling up for your sessions. You're dehydrated. You don't have overall enough daily energy coming in to support recovery. And this is potentially just going to lead to a really bad run with your training progression. You might find yourself plateauing and so forth. So essentially what we want to think about on these days is we want to fuel up for our first session and recover for our second session. So athletes could need anywhere from 3 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight per day. So that can be quite a substantial amount.
Yeah, it can be a substantial amount. And as you're saying that, I'm automatically thinking around time And if I'm doing 2 sessions a day, that's going to take up a significant amount of hours during the day. If I still have to meet a certain calorie requirement for the day to get my overall energy in, and I may not feel like eating immediately post-session a certain types of food, or immediately pre-session certain types of food, and there's 2 sessions, that's essentially 4 meals there where I might not be in the best kind of state physically or emotionally or mentally to eat, given that I know personally I get in quite a state and quite an arousal level
no one wants to be around you post-workout, no one.
to train at a certain level, and that doesn't necessarily lend itself well to much else other than training that way. So I guess my initial thought is like, how does consuming the right type of foods lend itself to being able to hit these targets and to perform optimally during these sessions?
Absolutely. So this is when strategy really plays an important role. And again, hello, ultra-processed foods. So this is why ultra-processed foods are so important for athletes, because we can think of these as your bang for your buck. They're high calorie and low volume. So let's say, for example, you're a rugby player and you have a strength and conditioning session in the morning, and then you have a gym session in the afternoon, for example. So when you get up first thing in the morning, you're probably not going to have an appetite then either. So, let's say you're getting up 5:30 before work, going to the gym at 6 to get this session done before your day starts. So we can actually utilize our dinner the night before. So if we have a really big carbohydrate heavy dinner, so we're kind of going back to that old school carb loading protocol, although this isn't with the goal to super compensate your glycogen. It's just to ensure that you do have enough glycogen that we can top it up a little bit in the morning, because overnight your body is going to utilize your glycogen. It's going through many metabolic processes. I don't know if anyone kind of remembers that saying, like, I feel like it's a little bit old school now. Don't eat carbs after 6 p.m. You're going to, you're just going to store it. Your body is going through so many metabolic processes overnight. So it's using all of that carbohydrate as energy. So having, let's say, for example, you're normally having a dinner where it might be a roast chicken with some veggies, and then maybe you'd have some potatoes on the side. So we just want to increase the carbohydrate. So let's say instead of the potatoes, we're having a serve of gnocchi, right? So for, a little tiny portion of gnocchi, you're having this for dinner at the moment. I think it's about 176 grams or something along those lines. Really high amount of carbohydrates in that particular gnocchi. I can't remember off the top of my head how much, but if you have the whole packet, which is 3 serves, you're going to get even more. So we're looking at something, like a whole packet of gnocchi, right? You're going to get a really decent amount of carbohydrates, have a dessert, some sorbet, something along those lines. You're going to bed and you have a lot of carbohydrates to store as glycogen. Overnight, your body's going to utilize some of that. That's okay. You get up in the morning and you just top it up. Have some snakes. Some people might feel a little bit funny about eating lollies first thing.
Yep. Yeah, I'm one of those people. Yeah.
Yes, you are actually.
Yep.
Very annoying to me, but here we are. So in this case, have a banana, have a English muffin with some jam. There's so many things that you can utilize that are quick, easy to get in. Have a juice popper.
Yep.
Drink it on the way to the gym. So do your session, go home, have breakfast. That's going to take care of your first refueling meal. We're focusing on getting in a decent amount of carbohydrate. So when we are having those double training days, we do have higher carbohydrate requirements to replenish and get ready for the next session. So what we're aiming for is about 1 to 1.2 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight per hour. That, for you, that's 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour, right? That's a lot. So what we can actually do, the research does support a similar rate of glycogen resynthesis with 0.8 grams of carbohydrates and about 0.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So, having your normal breakfast meal, whether that's cereal, whether that's oats, whether that's bacon and eggs on toast, whatever it is, but just making sure that you're having adequate carbohydrates. Throughout the next couple of hours, you're probably going to want to utilize some of those simple carbohydrates. So things like your Cliff Bars are great, your Lucozade Energies, smoothies, your juices, your oat bars, those kinds of processed packaged foods that you can have to get you through until your next session. Obviously, you want to have something a bit more substantial in there as well. So, you know, if you're having lunch that day, a couple of chicken and salad sandwiches are great. You're going to get some more protein and you're going to get in a little bit of salad, and then just topping up your carbs with juice. Even your soft drink is like a non-sugar-free soft drink. You're going to get a really decent amount of carbohydrates in there, but without the volume, and you're going to get fluid as well.
Yeah, so have, you know, a can of Mountain Dew with your chicken sandwich or something.
Yep, absolutely. Or if you're going to caffeinate for your next session, instead of getting a sugar-free energy drink, have a full sugar energy drink.
They taste better anyway.
That's what people say.
Cool. So I think we've gone over, you know, pre-workout there. We've gone over intra, in between sessions. Is there anything post-session that we should be focusing on, I guess, to kickstart the recovery for the next day? If there's training on the next day, or even if the next day is a recovery day, we want to get ahead of the curve on that, so that when the next training day does roll around, we're fully recovered. And then I guess as well, off the back of that, what role does hydration play in all of this? And it's something that, you know, I've been personally guilty of being really terrible at in the past, but since focusing on it more recently, have noticed such an improvement in literally everything from performance to just how I feel in everyday life as well. So I guess if you could touch on that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say that last session, that gym session, it's, you know, just before dinner, so kind of before you finish up the day and go home. Before that session, do have your normal carb primer. That's going to top up your carbs a little bit more and give you the energy to get through that session. You might need to have some intra carbohydrate fueling, just depending on how long that session goes. But then post-session, in terms of recovery, we want to be focusing on the 4 R's of recovery. So essentially repair with protein, refuel with carbs, rehydrate with fluid, and revitalize with dietary fats and color. So lots of beautiful antioxidants, which can help with inflammation and just promote recovery, right? Dietary fats for hormone health, although these two particular I suppose R's, we'll call them R's. These 2 R's are not necessarily important post-workout. These are just important throughout the day as a whole. So when you finish that session, again, just going home, you're probably going to go straight to bed. So we are a little bit limited on the time that we have to get those carbs in. So again, building that performance plate, just making sure that you're having at least that 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight of carbohydrates. Have some dessert, have some more juice. The juice is going to be really good for fluids. Rehydration is really important. As you train, you're going to lose a lot of sweat. You're going to lose a lot of your fluid through sweat as well. So the thing here is that you, if you go to bed dehydrated, you're going to wake up dehydrated, and then that's going to have a negative impact on your energy levels, your recovery, and so forth. In terms of having like your normal 125% of fluid replacement at night time, so generally when you finish training, we recommend to replace 125% of fluid lost. This is hard because you're going to bed. You don't want to be up all night going to the toilet. So maybe just have some electrolytes instead, just to ensure that you're not going to bed dehydrated. So really important to focus on those 4 R's of recovery and getting a good meal, lots of carbohydrates and fluid before you head in for the night.
Awesome. Anything else that athletes should be looking at focusing on for double training days?
That's pretty much it. So just make sure that you're fueled well, you're focusing on your carbohydrate intake, utilizing your ultra-processed foods, and rehydrating. Nutrition, it's not rocket science. We have guidelines, but again, as we discussed in our last episode, you're also human. Life is chaotic. Sometimes it comes down to doing the best that you can. And this is when it can be really beneficial to have a sports nutritionist in your corner to come up with strategies that are going to fit in with your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you like this advice, if you find that you know you're getting a lot of value from the nutrition advice that Em's giving out in this episode and all other episodes as well, definitely make sure to follow Emma and the Enzy Athletics page on Instagram. She puts out exceptional information every single week and puts a lot of effort and time and care into the information that she puts out there and you can access that information for free. And then if you have any other questions and you might want to ask Emma how you can implement these into your personal fueling timeline, or if you would like to reach out and inquire about a personal fueling timeline for your specific situation in your specific sport, you can also reach out to Emma or myself, and I'll pass it along, or via the Enzy Athletics Instagram page also.
Thanks for listening, guys. And I do also have a free pre- and post-workout nutrition ebook if you'd like to download that from our website, www.enzyathletics.com.au.
If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave us a positive review or a comment, and share to your socials and tag us.
Your support means the world to us, and showing your support through these actions really helps us grow. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.